everyone. It's Bella Malloy here, host of Seek Travel Ride. Welcome to another episode in our Cycle Shorts midweek mini-series where I share what it was like for one of our listeners during one day of their trip. Now, if you'd like to get involved in these episodes yourself and share what it was like for one day of your trip, the easiest way to do so is to send me an email. My email address is podcast@seektravelride.com. Now, this week we are featuring listener Kai Vijverberg, who is currently on a big epic journey. He's going all the way from Alaska down to the very tip of Argentina, and he's going to share what it was like during one day of his trip, and this day takes place in Canada. So let's listen to Kai tell us all about this day.
Hi Bella and anyone listening. My name is Kai Vijverberg and I'm a bike traveler from the Netherlands. And last year I decided I was going to quit my job and sell all my belongings in order to make a bike trip from Alaska to Patagonia, Argentina. And this year in the end of May I started that trip, and so far it brought me to the southern states of America. So at this moment I'm in Tucson. I did the whole Great Divide mountain bike route, and now I'm heading west towards Baja California in Mexico. I'm about 4 months and a half in now, and if you would ask me to tell a story about this trip so far or a day on this trip, what comes to mind is an experience I had on the Cashier Highway in BC, Canada. Because out there, like the Cashier Highway is super desolate. It's like 500 miles and there's not much out there. Just a couple of super small towns with super small convenience stores. And that's about it. So in one of these towns, in Dease Lake, I had the best experience ever. I was riding into town and some people were telling me before that I was going to see only like not nice people out there, and they came from the south and they said, well, people out there are just, well, jerks basically. But I went in there and, well, not expecting much actually. I went to the supermarket, to the grocery store, and chatted with some people there, and they were actually pretty nice. And I asked them if there was a place to charge some devices and maybe catch some Wi-Fi. They directed me to the government building that was in town. So I went out there, where I found a closed building actually. Turns out it was a Sunday, and because of that, well, it's a government building, so obviously it's not opened. But I found the Wi-Fi network working, so I was pretty happy with that, but a little bit disappointed I could not charge stuff. That meant I was sitting in front of the building for maybe 15 or 20 minutes using the Wi-Fi, but not being able to charge. And then all of a sudden the doors opened and some lady steps out and was very surprised that I was sitting there. And we had a small chat, and well, after 2 minutes she says, well, if you want to charge some stuff, you can just come to my place for a bit and charge up there if you want to. So I was like, hell yeah, I'm definitely doing that. So I went with her to her house, charged my stuff, had a chat with her in the meantime. And turns out she has also been living in Argentina. So she had a lot of stories about that, which was nice. And also she was now working for the wildfire department in Canada. And the building we were in, which I thought was her house until that point, turns out to be a house owned by the government. And it's like the place where firefighters would be staying if there was a wildfire around. But as there was no wildfire around, she was the only one living there at that moment. And she said, well, if you want to, you can just have a room here, stay here overnight. You don't have to go out and find a camp spot outside of town because there aren't many. So I definitely accepted that offer. We hung out with her some more that day. It was still pretty early. I think it was like around noon or something. Then at night, she took me out fishing also. So we were trout fishing, and I explained to her also that I had a problem with my bottom bracket. So I was aiming to go to the bike shop in Smithers as quick as possible. That was still about 400 miles or 600 kilometers away. And then she says, well, that's a big coincidence because my actual house, like my own apartment, is in Smithers. If you want, you can have my house key, take that with you, and then stay at my place out there if you want to. And for as long as you want to, because I'm going to stay here for some time. So yeah, basically, she gave me her house keys. And I had a place to stay in Smithers, which was hundreds of miles away. And I knew her only for a couple of hours. But apparently she had so much trust in, well, other human beings. And I thought that was just so nice. It was such a good experience to feel that love from just basically a random person at that point. And I think that's also what I love about this story, is that it's not about a very beautiful place or whatever. Anyone could travel to beautiful places or see things. But to be in touch with another human being like that is something different. So what I want to share with this story is that the most beautiful things happen when you talk to strangers. And also it makes the memories, because I can think of 1,000 places I've been that were cool to see. But it's always the people at that point that make the memory like a real one. So if you're listening to this, I definitely encourage you to try and be in touch with the people around you, and you will receive a lot of positivity and love back for that. Bella, also thank you for letting me share this story with you and with the listeners. But yeah, go out there and talk to people. And thanks again. Cheers.
Thank you so much, Kai, for sharing one day of your journey there. I really love the message that you leave us with right at the end there, that the most special memories are actually those that we share with strangers, with people that we meet along the way. You are correct, and I've reflected back on that just with my own trips, whether bike travel or normal travel. As you said yourself, you can see so many beautiful places, and of course those memories are vivid, but personally, if I reflect back on my own journeys, it's those memories that I can recall with other people or strangers along the way that are the ones that stick out front and centre of my mind too. And I guess the beauty of bike travel and bike adventures for those of us who partake in them are those moments where we do meet complete strangers, where our paths cross with people that did not exist in our lives beforehand. We share a moment or two, perhaps a few hours, maybe even get invited over for a meal or stay the evening. And then those moments, again, last longest in our memories too. Thanks so much for sharing that, Kai. I'm sure this story resonates with many of you listeners as well. And Kai, I wish you well on the rest of your journey, and I'm excited because I hope to plan to be able to speak with you for a long podcast interview session as well, and hear more about some of these adventures that you are embarking on each and every day. Now, listeners, as always, I also like to give a big special shout out to those of you super fans who have been supporting me on Seek Travel Ride and buying me a virtual coffee. Each coffee that you buy me helps to keep these podcasts rolling, and I'd like to give a shout out to some of our most recent supporters. Here's a shout out to Birds and Bikes and Ballet, otherwise known as Katrina Hayes, who says, "Love what you're doing to connect our community of slow travel bikepackers through in-depth storytelling. Keep it up." Thank you so much, Katrina, for supporting the show. I especially have loved following your own adventures and seeing where your two wheels are taking you on your bikepacking journeys as well. Thanks very much for supporting the show. Alice Tare says, "Hey Bella, here's some long overdue coffee for you. I've been listening to your podcast for a few months. I find it a great source of inspiration, especially hearing from other solo female travellers. It reassures and pumps me up for my upcoming trip. I like how you adapt your questions to your guests, so as a listener, it's always fresh and interesting, and I hope that you never run out of guests." Well, thank you so much, Alice, for taking the time out of your day to buy me a coffee and share that message with me. I'm super pumped to hear that you love listening to each episode and that you're drawing inspiration from our solo female travellers to put towards your own bike adventures as well. Keep in touch with me. Let me know where these bike adventures take you, because who knows, maybe you will be a future guest of the show as well. Regardless, thank you so much for supporting what I'm doing here at Seek Travel Ride. Now, listeners, if you want to show me and the podcast Seek Travel Ride some love, you can shout me a virtual coffee. It's pretty easy to do so. Just hit the Buy Me a Coffee link in the show notes. Send me a message. Tell me what you love about the show and help me to keep new episodes rolling out each and every week. Until the next episode, I'm Bella Malloy. Thanks for listening.